It's like, this is the clearest, like, fixed fight you're ever going to see. But look at this guy holding his hands up and watch. Watch that. He, like, literally shows him his chin, like, and he goes down. It's so fake. Look at him. He's got nothing. It's like a guy who just learned boxing yesterday.
World title in everyone's imagination. That's the heavyweight champ. You were here. Everyone else was here. But since then, the feeling has been Joshua makes all this money fighting anyway, 30 million pounds, whatever it is. Why should he take 40 or 50 to fight Wilder when he's making against anybody? He can make 30, 40 million pounds, whatever it is.
No fantasy contracts, just reality. You know, bringing our work to the table and bargaining and negotiating what we're worth and making this fight.
This ends with lawsuits whispered, careers scorched, and a heavyweight legacy staring into a crater. And now I'm dragging us backward. Because if you blink, you miss the exact moment the spine of boxing snaps. You need to see how this spiral from a quiet room into a public implosion. Because the final consequence is bigger than a knockout, bigger than money, bigger than pride. It's about whether anything you're watching is even real anymore. And nah, this shouldn't be real. Except it is. And that's a problem.
That's why Jake Paul is so relevant. Because he's found a way to bypass promoters and make money in the boxing rings instead of being a prisoner to the promoters. Even though he didn't fight anybody, he's about to fight Anthony Joshua, and we'll see what happens with that. Anthony Joshua should knock him into tomorrow because he's the bigger fighter with incredible power, but he's got a glass jaw. So if Jake Paul catches him, who knows?
I'm telling you right now, this wasn't trash talk. This wasn't hype. This was a door cracking open. And behind it sat influence, leverage, and a suggestion so toxic it could rot an entire division. Because when Anthony Joshua speaks without theatrics and drops a line that sounds casual but lands like a brick, that isn't noise. That's a warning shot. And you felt it too. Don't lie. Your stomach tightened before your brain caught up.
Fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit.
Here's where it twists. Because when it surfaced, it didn't scream. It crept. It slithered out in the kind of setting where masks fall off. And that's what scares me. This wasn't someone chasing headlines. This was a heavyweight king explaining why certain fights feel wrong, why certain doors never open, and why money keeps knocking louder than integrity. And tell me you don't hear that getting closer.
There's people out there that are going, Jake deserves credit, this is amazing, he's gone 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua. He hasn't gone 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua, he spent 5 rounds on his bloody bike, and the other diving for cover. Come on, let's get real about what happened last night. The dude basically used the greedy to hoodwink the stupid. Fair play to the kid, man. He made 50 million plus. I mean, someone's just sent me a message saying that they did 90 million. Respect. There's people out there saying, oh, he kept getting dropped multiple times and getting up. No, he didn't. Stop lying.
You want the shock? Fine. The shock is this. Power now thinks it can negotiate outcomes. That legacy can be penciled in, erased, redrawn. And when that idea even brushes up against a fighter built on sanctioned pain and own scars, something breaks. Because fighting isn't content. And the second you treat it like content, you invite chaos. And yeah, I'm saying it. Someone out there thought Anthony Joshua could be managed like a brand.
AJ, do you think Jake is on your level whatsoever?
No. No,
okay.
Respectfully. Because it's clear. If I say yes, I'm going to be lying to myself, and I can't lie to myself. It's not that he can't compete,
right?
But when you talk about, for example, music, how many albums I've put out, how many mixtapes I've put out, he just hasn't got the body of work I've got in boxing.
Got you.
I can already hear the excuses. Miscommunication, jokes taken the wrong way, strategy talk. But listen to the tone. Listen to the restraint. Because a calm is a tell. When a man refuses a circus and simply draws a boundary that speaks louder than any accusation. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. If this was offered here, who else heard it? Who else nodded? Who else stayed quiet? Because silence isn't innocence.
Or Jake would have moved around the ring at 100 miles an hour. There's two things I would have done. Tried to shut Jake down at 100 miles an hour, or I would have gone on the back foot. So Jake decided to move around the ring, and I decided to put the pressure on. What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%. In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fighters that have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are.
This is where the psychological knife really twists. The sport survives on uncertainty, on the belief that once the bell rings, anything can happen. Poison that belief, and you don't just cheapen one night, you devalue years. And every fan who's ever screamed at a screen feels it subconsciously. That creeping doubt, that quiet whisper asking whether the dice were loaded before the gloves ever touched.
Suing Anthony Joshua. And the reason has everybody side-eyeing this whole situation. From what's being said, Jake is claiming Anthony Joshua went off script. And when I say off script, I mean, there was supposedly a no knockout clause, or at least very specific fight rules, and Joshua hitting Jake so hard that his jaw got dislocated in 2 places was not part of that agreement. Jake basically saying that punch crossed the line from just boxing into what he's calling malicious intent.
This isn't about hating crossover money. It's about control. It's about narrative ownership. It's about someone believing they can storyboard violence. And when that suggestion reaches a fighter who earned leverage the hard way, the refusal becomes the real headline. And yeah, that refusal scared people, because it proved not everyone is for sale.
Jake Paul gets knocked out predictably by Anthony Joshua in tonight's fight. Now, I am torn on this fight. When it first started and Joshua was giving it, I'm thinking, oh, here we go again. It's the Tyson fight again. We're talking about 2 fighters who are pretending. It looked like a rocky fight at the start. Joshua was afraid to let go. He was just like tapping. Let Jake get a few punches and everything. And then I'm thinking, hang on, I'm torn between 2 ways.
Now pause with me for a second, because this is the part that makes my skin crawl. The aftermath wasn't denial. It was fog. And fog is where speculation thrives, where clips get replayed, where fans start connecting dots promoters are desperate to keep disconnected. And I'm telling you right now, there's more under this, more that hasn't been said, because saying it would light a fuse nobody could put out.
Messy. If Jake is really saying this fight was supposed to follow a script, then what does that say about the event, the Vegas crowd, the betting money, all of that? Because that opens up a whole different conversation nobody wants to touch. He's allegedly claiming Anthony Joshua could be on the hook for something like $20 million for violating the rules and going beyond what was agreed upon. But let's be real for a second. This is boxing. People get hit. Jaws get broken. That's literally the risk you take stepping into the ring.
You think that reaction split was random? Nah, it was tribal. One side needs a spectacle to stay clean. The other needs a sport to stay sacred. And when those 2 worlds collide, the fallout isn't loud at first. It's whispers. It's careful phrasing. It's people choosing every word like they're walking on broken glass. And that alone tells you everything you need to know.
Have a section where the 2 parties are going to meet, talk, discuss, have this. Just watch this video.
And mentally.
It's already written.
Where?
In the history books, brother.
In yours, not mine.
No, it is. Not You'll see. There's only one God, and God wrote it.
You see, with Jake, what I learned about Jake is that he's a mental person. This is my observation. Not only the physical aspects of training, but the way he thinks, meditation, breath work. If I can break his soul and I can break his mentality.
The moment the idea of a script enters a bloodstream, every punch gets questioned. Every slow round gets side-eyed. Every strategic lull starts to feel sinister. People stop watching fights like fans and start re-watching them like detectives. And that's not entertainment anymore. That's mistrust. And mistrust spreads faster than any promo ever could.
Was he carrying Jake Paul? Was he carrying Jake Paul because of the script with the mentality of knocking him out before time? Or was Joshua not wanting to potentially hurt this guy? Like hurt him? Like, it was throwing single punches, sometimes the odd 1 or 2s. You know what I mean? The first 4 rounds, you're talking like 8 punches to 5 punches. And it was like, I was thinking now, there's some sort of script.
I keep thinking about what wasn't said. How Joshua didn't posture, didn't grandstand, didn't milk it. That restraint makes the implication heavier because men chasing clout don't move like that. Men protecting lines they won't cross do. And if this makes you uncomfortable, good. Comfort is exactly how this stuff survives.
The Jake Paul fight script just got leaked and the details are absolutely insane. This script goes back to the initial promotion where he was supposed to fight a super underweight Gervonta Davis. But we now learn this fight was never supposed to happen. The plan was always to fight Anthony Joshua, but they started with a villain arc by positioning him against someone 70 pounds lighter. So when he goes to fight someone heavier instead, he looks like a hero underdog instead of the initial side. But that's just the beginning. The script for the actual fight is set up for it to go the distance and Paul to be awarded the win by decision. As a result,
let me drop another uneasy thought. If this was casually floated to a global star, imagine the pressure on fighters without leverage, without platforms, without escape routes. Imagine the quiet deals, the nods, the contracts stick with ambiguity. And tell me with a straight face none of that exists. Because if you do, you're lying to yourself. And yes, I hear the legal chatter, the numbers, the threats. But boxing has always been dangerous. Bodies break, jaws crack. That's the bargain. The second someone reframes at risk as a violation of a plan, the sport flinches. The ring stops being a proving ground and becomes a liability. And that shift? Terrifying. Pause. Breathe. This isn't done. Not even close. Networks are watching. Sponsors are recalculating. Young fighters are taking notes. The older ones are wondering how many times they were tested without realizing it. Somewhere, someone is sweating because a boundary got drawn publicly, and they don't know how to step around it. I'll leave you unsettled on purpose. There are too many gaps, too many careful words, too many acting like this is normal. And it's not. If you think the story is finished, you're not paying attention. The next reveal won't come with a warning. It'll drop suddenly, messy, and when it does, boxing might not recognize itself anymore.